show. It feels, I come back month after month, it recharges me, helps me feel connected to spirit, helps me feel connected to my spirituality, and since I've become in the show, things have changed.
The boat was tossed in the churning tide, hull split open on the starboard side, not a soul was left.
We were just asking him how Faye's changed his life, or spirit is, or what keeps him coming back.
I love the show. It feels, I come back month after month, it recharges me, helps me feel connected to spirit, helps me feel connected to my spirituality, and since I've become in the show, things have changed. You know, I've manifested big changes in my life. I've manifested the place I want to live, I've manifested the family I want to have. I'm a better person. So.
If I could just sit in the booth and...
So what do you want?
I don't know, just what's brought you back to Spiritus, I guess. Just say your names and I'll start in a second here. Brought you back to Spiritus and your name.
Okay. Go ahead. Oh, my name's Dave, and what brought me back is the first time I came, Faye just absolutely nailed a relationship with my father, and I've been thinking about him all day. And she's been communicating with me, I believe, somehow, with a card that I have of her picture at home, which keeps falling all by itself. Faye's picture keeps falling and looking at it. And, you know, I keep going, okay, I'll come back. So I'm back. And I was thinking about my mother all day today. And of course, she absolutely nailed my mother too. And it's amazing. And it's helped my life in a lot because it's just made me more aware of how much we can do for each other. It's not hopeless. I mean, you just have to keep pushing and keep helping.
You feel that that's him, and you feel it especially when you're doing art or some kind of creativity. He's very proud of you, your father. He just, what is he saying? Die hard? No. Live hard, die young. That's what he's saying. And he did.
I'm Miss Oblivious, and I'm going to interview Faye the Tattooed Psychic today for Ill-Famed Spirits Television. Hi, Faye.
Hi, Miss O. You look stunning today.
Back at you, babe. So, I want to know a little bit about your childhood, Faye. How was your childhood, and how did it develop?
The nightmare ride. That's what I call my childhood, the nightmare ride. You want to know about my psychic ability as a child? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. What is your childhood? Where did Faye the Tattooed Psychic come from?
Washington. I am first generation in the States. My family's from Riga, Latvia. I grew up in foster homes. My mother didn't want children really, and let us know it. And then my father, I never knew my father, but he is of Spanish descent, and that's what I know. And so that's basically, my childhood was pretty rocky. And I would watch, my grandmother was a psychic and a tarot reader, and I would watch her give readings to the family members using tarot decks as I was growing up. And my grandmother and I had a very special relationship. She was, I often say she was my breath. She taught me a lot about my spirit and how to keep it strong. And she would always tell me to be strong and stay strong, Faye. That's what she would say. And so my childhood was pretty rocky. And I would use spirit, though, to kind of find some sanity in my life and try to believe that there was something better for me someday, that I would tell myself someday something better will happen, and it definitely came true that way. But my psychic ability really wasn't as active as a child because I was just trying to survive.
So when did your career start with the psychic medium ability?
Well, it happened, I was always curious in the metaphysical. There was not a day I can remember that I wasn't fascinated with psychics or tarot readers or astrologers or even Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster and fairies and goblins. I mean, I was all into that metaphysical things and things of the bizarre always. And I always was an outcast growing up. And so I was always searching for spirituality. And one day I was on Whidbey Island and reading a spiritual book. I can't even remember what the book was, but an energy had come over me and I started automatic writing. And in that writing, they were saying that I would be developing my psychic ability over the next few years, that I would have clients all over the world. And I thought this was crazy. I was like, this is insane. But honestly, that's the second I got on the ferry after that experience. I was picking up the dead, like the second I got on that ferry. And I was reading books by Aleister Crowley, and I was reading any psychic medium book I could find, Rosemary Altea, and I just became obsessed with other mediums and psychics and learned a lot about myself through that. And so what happened after that is I would go and see friends, and I'd be like, oh, your grandpa says this and this and this, and this was information that they would only know, and they were like, Faye, what happened? And I'd be like, I don't know. I was a heavy metal punk rock singer in Seattle, and I was known as many things but never a psychic, and so I would go to my friend's house. But what really kind of clinched it for me that I was onto something was, and decided to pursue it even more, was I was at my son's friend's house years ago, and my son is now an adult. His name's Dylan Lester. He's a very well-known musician. But anyway, I was at his friend's house, and the spirit kept coming to me of an older man, and he was saying, tell her I miss the pies, tell her I miss the pies, talking about the mother of the house, Kim. And I looked at her and I said, you know, I'm all into this life after death, and so was she, ironically enough, because spirit would just started bringing people into my life that were spiritual and that wanted to know about life after death and whatnot. And I told her, but the old man who used to live here says he misses your pies. And she was like, oh my God. We lived in the house below, and we used to pick fruit, and I would bring him pies all the time. He was an old man who lived in this house by himself, and when he passed away, they bought the house. And so she was like, how did you do that? Like, how did he know? And then I told her other things about what he was saying about the house as well. And so that's when I went, okay, something's going on here. And I started going to psychic fairs, and another thing that happened to me was that I was getting signs. I was getting signs all over that I needed to get into spirit. I was at this psychic fair, and at this place they have you put your ring or a piece of jewelry on a business card with your birthday. And my birthday is 1/11/66, which is actually in numerology is pretty powerful. It's the number 7. So anyway. And so I put my ring on, and I was with a girlfriend of mine, and I was like, this is going to be exciting. I want to know what they say about me, right? And so they go around, and they're doing all these people, and then they come to me, and one of the psychic ladies just kind of looks at the ring, and I remember this so specifically because they weren't saying anything. And everybody else, they would be like, oh, this person, da-da-da. But she just looks at it, and then she goes to the other psychic and kind of leans over, and she's like, da-da-da-da-da, and I'm like, what are they saying? What's going to happen to me, you know? And pretty soon all the psychics are whispering, and I'm like, what's going on? And then the main psychic lady's like, what is going on? And she goes over there, and she grabs the ring, and she's like, whose ring is this? And they hadn't done that to anyone else. And I said, that's my ring. And they all just looked at me, and one of them just looked at me and said, you have no idea what's going to happen. You know, you have a direct line with God, like your psychic energy is amazing, and you're going to do amazing things and help people all over the world. And that's what Spirit had told me too, and that came true. So far, everything that Spirit predicted 15 years ago on Whidbey Island has manifested, like everything in my career. But a lot has happened. I'd had to go and do psychic fairs with crazy people. I mean, and really loony people. I had to earn my badge, so to speak, in this work. And I had to learn who was phony and who not. And I had to learn what being a medium was and being a psychic was. So I spent years in isolation and in cemeteries and years in the land of the dead studying the dead. I mean, and that's why I'm a master medium, because of the years I have spent in isolation with just my spirit and the other side. And so that's kind of a brief synopsis of how I got to where I am. And then I'm just going to keep talking if you don't mind.
Yeah. Well, where do you plan on going with?
Well, a few years ago, Spirit also told me about 5 years ago, you need to do a show. And so what happened was I started reading down at downtown shops, and my business started growing, and I started reading at Tenzing Momo, and I'm still at Tenzing Momo, and I work mainly downtown now. But what happened was, after I started doing all these readings and reading people from all over the world, Spirit came and said, it's time to do a show. And I said, a show? What do you mean a show? And they had told me that I needed to do a live show for a long time, but I wasn't sure what they were talking about. So I basically, over a period of months, they kept saying it and I kept denying it. And finally one day, a friend of mine, Tamara, who's a fabulous psychic in Seattle, she said to me, you should go to the Jewel Box Theater because it's affordable. and do a show there. And I said, oh, that's weird because Spirit keeps telling me, see, she's psychic, duh. And so she kept saying, yeah, I know. And so I go to the Jewel Box Theater. I'm like, I don't even know what's going to happen. I just conjure up the Hands of Kali because they're the best belly dance troupe that I know in Seattle. And I thought, well, they'll entertain the crowd at least. And I pieced together this bizarre metaphysical show, and I didn't even know what I was going to do. It's so funny because I was going to do one show, and now we're going into our third year.
Wow.
At the Jewel Box Theater. So it's funny how Spirit's manifested, but where we're going now is, it's funny you should say that, because at one time in this whole process of years of Faye the Tattooed Psychic, see, Faye is different than Faye the Tattooed Psychic. Faye the Tattooed Psychic is this element that I'm still trying to understand and understand who she is and how she works. I know Faye pretty well, but I don't know the Tattooed Psychic that well, and so I'm learning about her. But Faye's a great businesswoman, and so one day I was standing here in the living room, and I was going to stop doing the work I do because I was exhausted. The show wasn't getting any press. I don't even know if people got it. I was like, I don't get it. I wasn't fulfilled in my work anymore. It was like exhausting because I was attacked a lot by other psychics. You know, I left a lot of my story out, but I have been attacked by other psychics in Seattle, and so because the work I do is very non-traditional spirituality. I swear, I'm very aggressive in my behavior. I'm an ex-punk rock heavy metal singer. What do you expect? And so, and I break the tradition of the typical psychic shaman, and so I do get a lot of grief, but I keep going. And so one day, I had just kind of about reached the end of my rope, so to speak, with this work, because it can be very exhausting. And so I was standing in my living room, and I told Spirit, I'm going to be leaving you.
The breakup.
It's over, and I'm tired, and I'm not getting what I need out of this work anymore. Like, I love helping people. Like, that's my dream and passion. Like, I do nothing else but help people all day if that's all I could do. But I needed to pay my bills, and I also wasn't feeling happy. Like, the show just wasn't getting what I wanted out of it. To me, it should be all over the place because it's so great.
Yeah.
And so I remember standing right here and saying, so Spirit, I want you to know I'm going to quit, and I'm going back to school, and I'm going to get a real job. And because as far as I'm concerned, I should be in the Seattle Times by now. 12 hours later, the Seattle Times called me and said, yeah, we'd like to do an article. And I was like, well, are you kidding me? And then I said, okay. And then it was funny because that's when Miss OBlivious shows up at Spiritus. And I don't know how she got there. She could tell you that story. But I remember meeting Miss OBlivious in the crowd by giving her a reading. She was this gorgeous. I mean, her spirit's so alive. Anyone who knows her knows that you do not give this person a reading if you're doing this kind of work. And so we gave her a reading, me and Spirit, and she came up to me after the show and said, "You need to be on TV." And I said, "Yeah, I know." And here we sit. And so my goal is with Miss OBlivious, it's funny how Spirit will change your life if you put out that you're hurting. I was hurting at that time when I met Miss, I talk like she's not here, but met you. And I was seriously going to quit. Like, I was so exhausted from trying so hard to show people the power of Spirit and the power of their lives, and not getting what I thought I should get. And, that's my own ego talking. But at this point, my goal with Spirit is just to keep going and showing people what they can do with the power of their psychic ability. I mean, I came from nothing. I had nothing in my life. And I had nothing growing up. I had no parents. My mom, I don't want to discredit my mother, but she is an alcoholic and was unable to deal with the tragedies of her war. The childhood she spent in war camps in Auschwitz and Dachau, and so I understand her pain. However, growing up as a child, when you have nothing and you grow up in foster homes and you're picked on and you're overweight and you're being abused on many levels, that your natural path is to be self-destructive, and I was. And so I came from not a self-abuse place to a place where I love myself and my life now so much. And I just have a big mouth, and I love Spirit. so much, and I have such a big mouth that I want to share it with the world, and that's where I stand today. I mean, I'm so amazed at the stuff that goes on in the world that people don't pay attention to, that it bothers me. And so I figure if I can, through the power of spirit, if spirit can get these people through just words that they're saying, and they can change their lives and then feel better, maybe they'll reach out and start helping other people to change their lives. And hopefully that's our goal with this TV show, is to show people that you can have a kick-ass time, be fun and eccentric, and still love God and spirit and goddess and be all these things that you want to be, and have a very balanced life. And I'm happy, you know. I mean, I can't say enough how, I'm not kidding you, 7 months ago I was not going to do this anymore. And then this whirlwind, Miss Oblivious, comes into my life. Anyone who knows Miss Oblivious knows that she just, like a tornado, comes through and you're like, oh, okay, I'll do it, you know. And she's got me into the crowd that I wanted. I was really trying to reach the artistic people, because there's so many talented, psychic, intuitive, artistic people out there that would never go to a psychic. And we have a bad reputation as psychics for a good reason. I just experienced a very bad experience with a psychic recently that I'm just going, my God, this is why people make fun of us. And so I'm just trying to show people that we're not all that crazy, and we're not all woo-woo, and that I'm very real, and I'm badass still, I think, and I love tattoos and beer and fast motorcycles. And hi everyone, it's Faye the Tattooed Psychic and
Miss Oblivious, and I want to thank you, Faye, for letting us interview you and opening up your private life and your knowledge and everything else that you give to us. Thank you.
Thanks. And I want to thank you for coming out here. Not a lot of people like to come out to Edmonds, Washington to see Faye the Tattooed Psychic. But thanks for coming out, and thanks for rocking my world.
Aww. And don't forget, come to Spiritist Theater, third Thursdays at the Rendezvous at the Jewel Box Theater, which is inside the Rendezvous.
Our actual last show is November 15th of this year, but we will be running February through November of 2008 at the same place, same venue, same day, third Thursday of the month.
7 p.m. sharp.
Come meet your ancestors.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Miss Oblivious. I want to take you to a place that most citizens do not notice. A location so near, yet too far. A place where dreamers, sailors, and Dust Bowl glamour reside. Into the world of Pain Creations.
Much. That's okay. Do you like some tea, Mr. Butcher? Drink up, it's mighty fine. Just like you. Would you like some, Mary? I do not want to fall much tea. That just leaves it for you and me. Woo. I hope you like your steak. It's mighty tender, just like my heart. You're purty.
It's Faye The Tattooed Psychic, and we just finished our Ill Frame Spirits fundraiser, and we're downstairs at the grotto room, and apparently there's some spirits down here that I haven't found yet. I found the 2 up in the theater, but I haven't been down to this part of the Rendezvous yet. Now the Rendezvous is an interesting bar because it has all these little nooks and crannies, and all this history of Seattle, which a lot of people don't pay attention to. But that's why I love this theater so much, and that's why I do everything, all my live performances are in the Rendezvous. They rock. So Miss O's gonna guide us down this hallway where she found these haunted rooms, but I haven't seen them yet. So let's go rock and roll. Like Metallica. I don't know where we are. I've never been in this part of the Rendezvous. I didn't even know it existed. There's a male spirit back here.
Something, so I felt it. I was here by myself, and I was just like, oh. I ran into that room without meaning to. I thought it was the bathroom.
Ooh. You know what's interesting? It's not a negative spirit, which is nice. This is a person who's actually worked in the theater. I've never met this one though. He kind of hides in here. You know, it's interesting when you work in a building like this that has so much history of dance and theater and artistic people. And, you know, they say that I'm going to probably haunt this theater when I die. They're going to go, oh, that tattooed psychic, she used to do a live show here, and now she's haunting the theater. I doubt it, because I really don't want to come back here. But this person that's here, like, this is a man who's very quiet, somber, not a big talker. I feel he worked in some sort of maintenance area. Like, he wasn't, like, a big star of the show. And he's not really even haunting here. Now, he's more, his energy residue is here. And that's why it feels so weird when you walk in there, because he's not really in there. It's not a ghost. It's just his residue.
I just felt like stuffiness in there or something.
And that's how it will feel if it's just like, because we're made up of energy, we leave imprints everywhere we go. And that's what's happening here. This isn't a ghost. This is an imprint of a man who spent a lot of his time in this place, but also did a lot of like behind the scenes work. And it's interesting because he doesn't like to be seen a lot. And so that's why I think he's in this area. He's not in just that area. He's in this area. But he'll go upstairs too, and this I think is the same energy that is at the back stairs of the Rendezvous. Every time like I go back there, you'll see me doing my meditation beforehand back there, but he won't cross a certain line. And there is a male spirit that I've picked up and other mediums have picked up in the Rendezvous at the back of the theater that won't cross over. And it's kind of like, this is, I wonder if this is the area upstairs, like if this is his area, this side of the building. It's interesting, but it's not like a ghost, just residue.
Play to get some fabulous decor for the grotto room. That's a cool space. And we got orbs there last night.
Yeah,
We were doing a photo shoot with Spirit, and I kept telling him to get bigger and bigger. Well, they've heard that before, guys have anyway. And and the Spirit did get bigger and bigger, and we got pictures
To prove it, we'll show you
prove
those.
it. I like your hair. It's showing up really good on film.
Is it?
It's very
Like it.
orange. Oh my God.